First is the record button, then it is the share button, setup for the share. So now, we are coming to the next section. So any questions on the explanation related to accidents? I think we were reasonably clear yesterday on accidents. And those who missed it will have to catch up and then ask their questions. It is already uploaded in the YouTube, so you can see it. I think next week onwards, even today's session will be uploaded as public. Next week onwards, I will use all the email IDs that I have received. So it will come as an unlisted content. Right? So let us get into today the next stage. Right? The law of thought and religion. Then law of thought and God. Right? How we form those opinions. Today we will do that much. Yeah. And then there is also law of thought as destiny, which works in silence and is never visible. Whatever working it has, it is not visible. Right? So we will come to that. Let us start with the law of thought and religion. See, why do people, or let me just take you through whatever notes I have prepared. See, the objection to the doctrine that man is the master of his destiny, one of the objections comes from the state of one's individual belief or tradition, etc. But whatever we may call it, the root cause is because of the belief. So this belief actually takes us through a feeling that men have no choice in being created and no choice concerning their destiny, and that there is not more than one life on earth. This is one of the beliefs that some people have. Right? It could be Christianity or whatever it is. Then this belief itself, right, gets categorized into belief by virtue of our experiences. So our experiences would actually show that justice is seldom meted out. That means whenever we start feeling the impact of something negative, right, we start with the assumption that it happened to me, I believe, because justice is not there. I take that approach. Right? Then the other thing, right? So when we say that justice is seldom meted out, we feel that the good often suffer misfortune and that the wicked often prosper. This is one thing that we generally take as an experience, or rewards and afflictions generally come to mankind without wise dispensation. Those who are wise, they don't get it. And that the weak and poor are oppressed, and that strong and rich can get away with impunity, and they can get what they want, and that there is not an equal opportunity for all. All this result in people thinking the hope of eternal bliss in heaven and the fear of eternal suffering in hell as a reward or punishment for the acts of one's short life on earth. So this results in this kind of a thought process. And based upon the mere acceptance or rejection of a doctrine, dull the perception and stagger the understanding. So what happens? Predestination means that each doer is at birth arbitrarily created for good or for ill, a vessel for shame or honor. So this becomes, when we start thinking that everything is predestined and there is nothing that you can do about it and all, we start subscribing to living under this condition. This idea, when believed upon, questions, or it actually enslaves the school of thought of the believers. With me? Right. Another factor which is ruled by means of this by individual beliefs comes from, right, militating against the acceptance of the law of destiny the law of thought as destiny is the belief in vicarious atonement. If individuals may be relieved of the consequences of their sins by the sacrifice of another, there is no reason for a belief in justice. That again takes us through this process, and we become victims of our own belief, and we surrender to that belief rather than the reality. Any questions here? So whatever we experience, because what we want did not happen, we take the meaning that is convenient to us, and thereby we form our this one, and we become enslaved to the shell that we have created for ourselves. We do not go beyond it.
One thought that comes into my mind, is it not destiny that we are placed in that particular circle?
No.
Who
has created destiny?
No, the belief system. See, we are not answering that question, who created the destiny. We are just thinking that, see, if you are born into a particular Brahman family where there are certain set of rules and governing body that comes in by the society, you believe that is the way of living. But once you are adopted, say at the age of 10 or 11 or 12, into a Christian family, then the value system would be entirely different. That's when you start questioning, hey, was it right that these traditions were followed as a Brahmin, or is it right to follow the new conditions that are there? But the destiny will put you in that Brahmin family to start with.
Sir, see, but then that destiny is what you have created for yourself.
Exactly.
You have chosen the destiny. No, and basically, yesterday you missed the session. Otherwise, the conclusion part of yesterday's session was highlighting this aspect. Based on the thoughts that you have released, right, which are not yet balanced.
That is before the birth, you mean?
Yes, before the birth.
Before the birth, yes, okay.
Right, those are the ones that will put you in that situation.
Yes, I agree.
That is, again, you have created the destiny.
Right, okay.
Right, so it is not God. Now, let us say you are brought up under the firm belief that ABCD should not be done because of the religious belief.
Right.
But when it comes to your practical experience, everything that you experience is contrary to what you have been taught. What happens to your belief?
So no, it is very conflicting at that particular point, as we see some of the cases here.
Correct. So the moment it is conflicting, will you believe what you have been told, or will you believe what you have experienced?
the way I have looked at the children who are brought up have dual way of living. One,
Sir,
their
forget the
parents in
children.
their
First
home.
of all, let us understand. Will we go by our experience or what has been published in a doctrine?
No, but I think mostly by experience.
By experience, right? Likewise, they will have their experience. Till they have, they will follow the doctrine. But the moment their experience, so all these that I have mentioned here are by the individual experience and your individual beliefs. Even if you have acquired that, the moment you experience to the contrary, your belief itself will undergo a modification.
Yeah.
Right? So that is what he is trying to tell us. And we will be living in a well which is surrounded by our experiences and our this one, which means for us, we become jaundiced. We will see everything yellow in color. Wherever we see what we have experienced, we will say that is correct. Anything to the contrary, we will not accept till we ourselves see the consciousness that is coming on that, the light in that particular sentence. Right? So, this is what happens to people who believe in their, that whatever they have experienced is right. Right? So now let us see. Or the other side of the belief, right, also stems from the so-called what you are explaining. If I atone myself, how do I atone myself? ए भगवान मेरा देख ले, मैं आपके हुंडी में ये सब डाल दूंगा. So I will atone myself by that kind of a sacrifice. और इसका गला काट के आपको दे दूंगा, आप मेरा भला कर लो. वो कल एक बकरी लाता हूं और आपको दे देता हूं.
Sir, I want to ask a question on this kind of a belief where you do the bali of something that you will get rid of something like, what is that, this kind of a belief? Is it really true or it is just been formed by for some people? You have to give the bali.
Whoever wanted to eat bakri formed it like that and then created that scenario for himself. And he gave it the religious painting.
Is it so?
Yes.
Just one more opinion, Kanchanji. Sir, Chandra sir, pardon me for expressing this. See, these traditions have come roughly few thousand years before, largely developed over Sindh Valley region, where the outside world was cut off for them. They lived just by themselves, right? So how to restrict the population? A kind of a balance to the farmer who lived only on the dairy farming and agriculture. That's all that they had. So somehow they have to reduce the population of the cattle, particularly the males. Females were very useful. But males, if they are more, they can only be employed for the agriculture and not for anything else. So they have to sacrifice a male at a yajnam, whatever it is. I think that's how.
See, there are so many doctrines that lead to that, sir. For example, let us say in the south we offer fruits and vegetables to gods. What will you do in a place where you cannot grow any of these?
Oh, toyam dalam pushpam.
Right. So when you're in an area, let us say you're in the Himalayas, you can't grow anything. So what will you do?
Offer ice.
Huh? But then God will not like it because God is made by us. So God will not like, because you won't like it, God will not like it because it is the man-made God, no?
Right. Yeah. So
that also comes in this, actually, this chapter only.
Okay.
Jagdish sir, anything to add?
No, not actually. I think what Mr. Ramakrishna said is very correct.
Right.
Both of you have said the same thing. There are what shall I say, compulsions over time, over different eras which has made possible for us to create these things.
Yeah.
And subsequently, you see what happens. I like what Eric Fromm said about ethics. He said there are two kinds of ethics: ethics of authority and ethics of conscience. Okay,
Yeah.
what you are now talking about right now is talk about, we believe the God is called ethics of authority. The authority comes from outside.
Correct.
Somebody tells you, etc., etc. And so that is what is going to break down society. But ultimately, society will be what is called the ethics of the conscious, which, in this we talk about somewhere the light strikes you. And
Correct,
that is the
correct.
called ethics of conscience. And that is what should survive ultimately, according to him.
Eventually, that is what will survive.
Yes.
Because anything that has been done with a sort of a vested interest will get questioned, which is by virtue of authority. To protect their authority, they may do certain things.
Yes. Yes.
Sir, can you say ethics of authority is nothing but social or the living conditions, and ethics of conscience is nothing but humanity in general? As a
The
human,
latter is
you
correct.
feel that.
No,
Sir,
the
the
latter
latter
is
is
correct.
correct.
But the farmer is, it's not necessarily the ethics of society. What you say social authority, social, that's called the more. And more change, you call morality. So certain societies accept certain moral codes. Some other societies, both are acceptable. That's called more. But ethics of authority means you are told you should not this or you should do this, or this kind of comes from, let us say, church, the temple, the religious prophets are not prophets.
And in our
priests.
Indian subcontinent, we can even say ethics of authority is that of Dadagiri.
Dadagiri, yeah, that's correct.
Yeah.
Dadagiri.
Oh, Dada. No, but what I was referring to is the law. See,
So law again is different for different scenarios
right.
because it is subject to interpretation. See, if you really look at law is just a plain statement. It is a plain statement. If you are the decision maker of that law or implementer of that law, I can buy you because you are for sale. Very rarely we come across the justice which is not for sale in today's world. Right. So that is again law of, that is the authoritarian the binding that people have to live by.
Yeah, where there is no ethics of consciousness is zero then.
See, we know so much, right? For example, when that Congress election took place, and who is that guy from near Vijayawada? That Rajahmundry guy. I keep forgetting. He was declared winner by Sonia Gandhi and team. They ensured that he was declared winner. And once the declaration is done, they cannot do anything except in the court of law. तो एक बार कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ में गए तो 5 साल कैसे भी हो जाएगा, वो टर्म ही खत्म हो जाएगा. हाँ, उंडावल्ली अरुण कुमार. He was declared a winner when he was not the winner. Right? All these are the authoritarian implementations of these things. Right? Yeah. Right? So now let us go a little bit further. So law of thought and religion. One was by belief system. The next one is now consider those who believe in a God who at will dispense blame of favor, who believe in a God who are basically what they are saying is it is an arbitrary decision by God, dispenses blame or favor, raises or puts down, and gives life or death, or those who are satisfied with the explanation that every event is the will of God or the ways of providence, merely by holding such beliefs, unable to apprehend the law of thought as destiny. So this is another kind of role that the religious belief side can play. Further, we come across others who believe in many gods and other gods and others in a particular god, who will grant their wishes and condone their sins if propitiated by offerings and supplications. Such people believe that they have such a God and will not want a law to which they cannot appeal for their selfish ends and get a desired response. Right? So, here the key thing is, I don't want a situation, I don't want a belief system which tells me that I have no control in the outcome. So, I would believe in a God who will give me what I want. Okay. So, these are all the religious roles that we encounter. Are you all with me?
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's exactly Bhakti Yoga.
Yeah, I mean, it's not actually Bhakti Yoga. It is actually a selfish connotation of the Bhakti Yoga.
Selfish atlautun, sir. This is something that
Sir, if I am getting what I need, so you believe Ram, I believe Lakshman. Lakshman will give me, Ram will not give me. So for me, Lakshman is greater. Now, your belief is your belief, my belief is my belief. When we come together, we both will fight.
No, but that's not the idea. The idea is what you believe is giving you the satisfaction of living. What I believe is giving me the satisfaction of living.
Will you then agree that everything is karmic?
No, it is bhakti that I'm talking about. We are not
No,
going
I
into
understand, sir, but bhakti
means
is not a passive entity, right?
no, it is what I believe. That's all.
No, that's okay, but that belief takes the shape of an active entity in your life, correct?
I mean, there is no activity at all, sir. I just believe whatever happens to me is happening.
So will your actions be under the contours of that belief, or will it go beyond also?
No, I mean, whatever happens is just happening. That's what my belief is. There is no limit.
Sir, that is what so.
That is faith. Sorry. Again, I'm sorry. Again, we're getting into the trap of words. Words are all contextual semantics. We're getting into the trouble of semantics. Okay. Can we differentiate with the word belief and faith? Ms. Rakshna, you are talking about faith, not belief.
No, I'm talking about bhakti.
No, yeah, that's bhakti.
Sir, bhakti is manifesting in two forms.
You can't translate it in English. That's where the problem comes.
No, bhakti is total surrender.
Very powerful, exactly. It's a very powerful mix. Surrender to faith, your faith. But they say, there's a saying, belief is the biggest obstacle to faith. What do you say to that?
Correct.
Right. Belief is the obstacle to faith.
So belief is attached to your ego, whereas faith is attached to your religion.
Your surrender.
Belief.
Surrender can be also
Sir,
so
belief
faith is surrender.
is created or being developed by the outside environment. Okay. So whatever is the listening or the saying of the outside environment, you started believing in it. Okay.
Yeah.
But the faith is from the inside, which comes from your inner this thing, and then you start putting yourself into a surrender mode where you say that God is there, He will take care of me for everything.
Yes.
But
believe it from the outside.
No, but what happens if the same God doesn't give you what you are asking?
There is no question not giving you.
Sir, it is not about that. It's about faith and surrendering and putting that thing into a very 100% of. See, if you are doubting and God is not giving, then it becomes a belief, because others have told you that if you do this thing, God will give you.
See, whether others have told or you have. See,
no person, 0% of doubt, 0% of this thing. Sir,
that doesn't happen. See, you always listen to people who have got utmost faith in God. Okay? And whenever something negative happens, I am being punished is the way that they will start commenting. Will they? Then where is the question of surrender? You are not surrendering.
Sir, that
Can
is
I-
what is
I
your
don't think this is what
intellectual,
that's what
your
Mr. Ramakrishna is
enlightenment.
saying.
Sir, what is that?
I don't think that's what Mr. Ramakrishna is saying. I understand him, but we are getting trapped on the words again.
No, I'm asking
As
him the
far
same
as the-
question.
He is talking about faith. He is talking about faith, but he is using a different language, right?
Correct. No, I agree. What I am trying to ask him is, how will you behave the moment God does not give you what you are seeking?
There is no question at all. It is nothing like God does.
Not giving. That's what
God
he's saying. Not
doesn't
giving
This
at all.
is not a
doesn't
barter
exist.
system.
Whatever God
It's
gives
not a
me,
barter
that's all
system
that
where
it is.
I give you something, then the God will give you something.
No, it's not the barter we are talking of here, Kanchan. It is basically, if you are saying you
The
are fully
faith is not
surrendered to what
subject-
you get, right? Then you have to be in the third form of surrender, which is what Michael Singer did. But here,
Yeah.
our surrender is limiting to the extent that you get what you want. That is why you are not willing to accept a concept of a law which says that you cannot go and appease that lawyer or the law implementation guy, which happens to be God in this case, if he is going against what you desire, against your expected outcome, then what will you do?
See, that's the question that I'm trying to say. See,
Sir,
you are
that is
you are
where
asking
that is
something
where
here.
all such people
Sir, you
go
are
against a law.
No, there is
They
there
don't
is
want a
no-
law. They want the God who will give them what they want.
No, that's not true. What I'm saying is that you don't even want anything. Whatever is good for you, he gives. That's it.
Sir, that is theory.
I'm not asking.
No. I'm
I'm
not-
sorry.
that is
I'm
theory.
sorry. I'm going to agree.
No, that's not theory, sir. That is the belief system.
No,
That's
that is
where-
not belief. That is
That's
faith.
what I believe. Anything, whatever is good for me, I get it. It is just a belief that a child will have with the mother. Whenever I'm hungry, she feeds me. I just cry, that's all. There is no question.
Then,
She gives me food.
these books are not for you, sir.
Sir,
No.
अपनी
You are
जमाना
going-
ऐसा भी
see-
नहीं है, unless or until child do not express he is hungry, mom
Yeah,
is
he
not
cries.
going to understand that she has to feed him or her.
No, but the child doesn't doubt. Child doesn't have any doubt that she feeds him the wrong food.
Sir, we
Sir,
are
that
not
doubt
talking
doesn't
wrong
come
food
because
here. I
it is
think
not-
we are. No, one sec, Kanchan. We are taking this discussion the wrong way just for making it a debate. But
But I mean,
honestly question yourself, saying
I'm
that,
only-
are you willing to say that everything is karmic? Are you saying nothing is karmic, my God will give me?
That is the belief I have, that's all. Whether it is true or not, I'm not even there to verify it. It is just the faith.
So then you should not be complaining about anything that you come across.
Even if you complain, there is nothing.
No, you cannot complain because whatever you got is for your best interest, no?
No, complain with whom?
So whoever you are complaining to.
No, but with whom? God himself is giving you this. So who else can you go and complain to?
So you keep on creeping now.
That is
You are
only
so much
because-
of enlightened, you will not complain, you will not creep, you will not make a gossip, you will not do that thing.
No, but you will cry.
No, you
Because
should
You will
not.
not cry now.
Because
You will
what you
not
got
cry.
is in your best interest, no?
And moreover, you will not be dissatisfied also. You will
So
be
you
satisfied,
are
you will be
also,
happy.
sir, Ramakrishna sir, by your own statement, you are also telling that the God will give me what I want.
I mean, whatever is given is good for me. That's it.
Sir,
Simple,
sir, that
so
is
you
in
have to
theory.
accept it.
Sir,
No,
but
why do you
actually
say it is
speaking-
theory, sir? That is what is Bhakti Yoga.
Yes, sir,
Bhakti means
you're
that's what
talking,
it is.
no, no, are you talking about
have
an
any
enunciation
desire to know.
or the impact it is having in you, in your belief?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes, Bhakti Yoga is nothing but your own belief.
Sir, I agree. He has already taken us down the path of belief. In this case, as an individual, are you okay with surrendering to the law of thought, or you are only surrendering to a God who will give you what you want?
Sir, how can there be a law of thought? What is given
That
to
is
you?
your karma.
No,
Is there
what is-
karma or there is no karma in this belief that you are trying to state?
Whatever it is, whatever comes to you is good for you. That's it.
And you're not within the purview of the discussion of the topic. You have gone way above.
Yeah, I mean, I thought I just made a statement, one statement, that's all, because which is akin to or same thing as Bhakti Yoga, whatever we were talking, that's all.
No, but we are not wanting to bring in any language which will confuse us further.
Okay, sir. Yeah, pardon me for that. Yeah.
No, that's okay, sir. Jagdish sir wanted to say something.
No, I actually was in defense of what Mr. Ramakrishna is saying, because I still feel, see, what his context of the language when he used Bhakti was precisely what he talks about surrender. And he said he doesn't mind whatever he gives. He's not asking for a particular, am I right, Mr.? He's not
Yes.
saying, give me this, otherwise I will be angry. He didn't
Yes.
say that.
Right.
We missed that point.
Sir, my
Now
point
I'm
is not
confused.
that. Are you still
no,
okay
so-
with having a law? Having a law dictated by your thoughts.
For him, law is Bhakti Yoga. That's what he's talking about, from what I understand.
Sir, are you making that statement? That law of thought is the Bhakti Yoga.
I'm not even thinking that there is a thought in me.
Sir, but
There
then
is no thought
there
in
is
me.
karma, right? What is karma then?
Whatever happens to me, I surrender. That's it.
Sir, so you don't believe in karma then?
No, but whatever happens to you and whatever you do something against that, you may still go against that, whatever is happening
Sir,
to you. You may
when you
react to
say
it.
what you do against that, it
Is
could
your
be in
reaction.
thought, it could be in speech, it could be in action.
Yeah, sir, Ramadas was punished for 14 years. Although he was immersed in Bhakti Yoga, he did say,
And then he went on to write songs saying that, okay, kiska baap ka mal hai and all that, right?
That's what I'm saying. So,
So,
if you do
that
some of your
means
own,
he
that's
also,
where karma comes in. That's exactly my point.
correct, sir. In that point, what did he say?
Yeah, that's what
He
he said.
started behaving saying, why are you letting me suffer?
Correct, sir.
तेरा
That's
बाप
what
का
he
माल
said.
है क्या? मैंने आपके लिए ये बनाया, उसके लिए वो बनाया, सीता को ये दिया, वो सब अपने गाने में लिखता है ना रामदास का कीर्तन में.
No, that's exactly what I'm saying. So you are still a human being. You have your own weakness. But you may blame God
see,
for it.
you may believe one God or you may believe anyone, but you will not accept that it is by virtue of your karmic impact that you are suffering. That is the point I am making. Even the same Bhakti Yoga Ramdas, he also started firing Ram.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's
He
exactly
said, तू क्या मैं इधर सफर हो रहा हूँ और तू सीता माता के साथ डांस करते हुए घूम रहा है क्या? That is what he is asking.
That's what I'm saying. Out of a human weakness, you may say that, but
Sir,
the belief in faith
fine.
is that
Sir, thank
whatever
you.
is given to you
No, no,
is-
you have subscribed to what this man has said. That is what I am trying to say.
Yeah, okay.
Saying that whether it is in a moment of strength or a moment of weakness, he did. Bhakti Ramdas also uttered the same sentence, saying what? He said, I did it for you. I built the temple for you. I prepared a place for you. And you put me through all this difficulty.
Yeah, that's right. So that is
So-
agony that one can feel.
no, sir, that is what he is also saying. Whatever we just read, he says that He wants a God who will listen to him, so he doesn't want to believe that his past thoughts or actions is the result of his suffering now. That is the point. He wants a God. He doesn't want the suffering by virtue of his thoughts. Do you agree, Jagdish sir?
I agree with what you said, but I still like to say, I think we have not
No,
understood.
sir, but then the moment he is bringing the examples, right, then
Correct.
it is leading you to his subscription to the same statement that Percival is making here. Saying that I want that God. I want such a God who will take care of me. I don't want a law, right? A law which says that I am responsible for it. So I want someone to put the blame on. It could be my God.
True. As an aside, to confirm this, I can also state, you have all heard of the Sharia law, right?
Correct.
The Sharia law, okay? Now, they are told, the practice, not the original Islamic at all, the practitioners who the Maulas who put the Sharia, they say
Correct.
no law is above Sharia law. So, to today's world, they are prepared to break your laws, even a traffic signal, because say it doesn't apply to them because it's not part of Sharia law. That is the strong. That is what we are talking about. That's the strong belief.
No, I agree with that. But what I'm trying to say is, if you are put to a tight corner, you will question the God. Which law? That is Sharia law, the Muslim law.
Sharia law. Sharia law. SHARIAT. Sharia law, which all these, particularly the Sunni Muslims are supposed to follow.
Correct. Correct.
So according
This
to
is not the
Sharia
Shia
law,
Muslims, but the Sunni Muslims.
Sunni
so
Muslims.
according to Sharia law, they do not invest money into those stocks where they invest the money into the liquors, all those things.
No, not only
That's what I
liquors.
understand.
They are not supposed to take any profit. Even if they invest,
Yes.
they cannot take a profit. Which is what is practiced in Saudi Arabia. But then
Yes.
they say that for expenses we are allowed to take, so they take more terms of expense.
Sir, this is manipulation.
Exactly. So they want that kind of a scenario. They don't want a law which says that whatever you do, you will get back.
Yes.
Right? Your God is there. He will take the blame and give you the reward for it.
Correct.
So, see, that again leads to the faith.
Belief.
And faith, I would say, belief is based on your
Belief, not
experience. Faith is by virtue of the religion and tradition that you are exposed to.
I would say belief is also by virtue of the religion what is exposed.
So
Now,
till
faith
you
is something very
experience.
different. The
So
word
what
faith
is
very,
happening
very
is,
not loose.
but then belief, the moment you experience it, then it moves away from that to this, if it is in contradiction.
Let me, if you don't mind, again digressing a little. See, there is what is called the concept. There is what is called the experience. Like you mentioned about the blue glasses and the yellow glasses.
Correct.
Now, though the sun is bright, when you wear goggles, you know it is dark. You know that is not the concept. You are experiencing dark clouds, dark sky.
Correct.
But you know the sky is not dark because the sun is brighting, right? But what happens? You are always wearing the dark glasses. You forget that the sky is actually bright. This is called collapsing of the concept of the experience. This to collapse, which you don't realize, right? There's always an intersection, but we forget the intersection with collapsing. This is where the problem comes up. When they collapse, when your experience and your belief they collapse, and the concept it collapses. Then we believe that the sky is always black.
All these dictionaries also don't give us the comprehensive meaning of it.
You cannot.
They give you. See, that is why he immediately qualifies his definition or meaning with a sentence.
Not only sentence, he gives 3 or 4 examples. 3 or 4 times he repeats this.
Correct.
To get it.
But if you go to the dictionary of synonyms,
you never do that. Never do that. No, not only here, even in fiction. See, words should be taken very contextually.
very
So
contextual.
this writing of this dictionaries has been the human being. They will put it according to their choices of the words.
Yeah.
No, no,
They are
language is
very
invented for
intelligent.
communication, for understanding each other. Beneficial.
They are intellectual.
No, it's not.
Yeah, sorry, somebody.
Okay. So
Let's
so
move ahead, sir.
basically, people want the comfort zone is the meaning that I am able to take out of the whole thing. I want to be in my comfort zone, whether it comes from my belief or the law. I want it to be in accordance to what I desire, and my God will take care of that.
Right. That's why religion and God came into being.
Exactly. That's what the religion says. See, they cannot appeal for their selfish ends and get a desired response. That means they want a God whom they can appeal and get their desired response compared to a law which will probably not give exactly that. And why does that happen? Let us go a little bit further. Right? Okay, no, that we'll have to come back. There's some more content that we have to come to. So now this becomes by virtue of belief or in a religion. Let us see the same thing by law of thought and God, how that equation plays out. Law of thought is the basis of the moral law. So no religion can dispense with the law of thought, as no religion is without a moral or without the moral law. It must be in every religious system. Which one? The law of I'm talking about the moral law becoming the core system within the religion. Law of thought is equal to moral law and weaved into the fabric of every religion in one form or other. Correct? So what does that mean? Interestingly enough, we could observe that most religions, a moral aspect of every religion are shared in some degree. That means that moral aspect is built into the fabric. Thus, the identity of all religions at the fundamentals has its moral code as the bond between them. Further, the administration of the moral law in each religion, the administration of the moral law is in the hands of a particular God associated with that religion. Right? His power is believed to be so great that he is not bound by, that means he is above the law. Hence, the belief in the will of God and the way of providence. So the God that we have created is somebody who is so powerful that he is above that law. He becomes the Gunda in this case. So whatever is the will of the Gunda has to happen. So that is his will and that is providence. That becomes the system that is getting woven. Right? Okay, now look at this. If we subscribe to that, what happens to moral? Moral becomes subservient to that particular will. Am I right, sir? So, the will of God,
Yes,
you
correct.
create a God who is all powerful and he is the administrator of that moral. Like you have got a Supreme Court judge. If he says that you are the thief, you are the thief. Right? So that kind of a scenario is there. And he is above law, which is very peculiar. Right? So you give him that kind of a status. Right? Similarly, among some people, there exists a doubt regards the management of that God, resulting eventually in a belief in blind force and chance. So your belief is going to the other extreme. Instead of helping you balance the scenario, it is taking you to the other extreme. And that actually dovetails into the other statement that we had a heated argument a little bit a while ago in terms of bringing the clarity out. So if he is supreme, right, he should give you what you want. So you will surrender to him. You don't want it to be a law, which even he becomes party to the questioning. Right? Everyone with me? Or is there a different viewpoint?
No. Actually, there's a very interesting parallel
Yeah.
in what Richard Bach says in his book One. And I have seen his book One.
Yeah.
A book called One.
Correct.
Where when he and his partner, is hiding behind the bush, they see a small area where the bearded man is saying certain things to people, some good things, and they're all listening very carefully. And then he notices one of them taking down notes, and he asks him, "What are you doing?" He said, "No, sir, so that we can remember all that you said." He takes the test. The moment you do that, okay, you will put a flag before it, and someone will put another flag off beyond it, and that becomes a belief and contradiction. I don't want you to do that, he says.
Or it can also be used to shafting him when he goes against what he has said.
That's correct. Then he says, "No, don't take down," he says.
Right. Any questions, Gayatri, Swarna, Ramakrishna sir?
So, see, when you say karma is everything according to karma, even even gods had to go through it, right? Like Rama,
see, as per
strike
this
that
theory,
arrow.
No, but then Rama, you are talking of Rama in human form.
Yeah.
Not Rama as the god.
Yes. So that is what, yeah. They are not
forget
spared
that
even
human
when they
form.
are. Yeah.
See, forget the human form. Basically, what we are trying to ascertain is God, you give him such a status that he is above law.
Yeah.
Whereas the story in Ramayana and all, Rama had to play the role of a human being.
Correct.
So he had pain, he had Arshad Vargas, he had all those components in him. Yes, he was a realized personality, so he knew how to control it or not show it in direct and indirect and all that. So here what we are trying to say is that morality itself is questionable because you have given him a status which is above law.
Correct.
That is the point he is making.
Yes, sir.
Right? So you will give him the blind force. Another reason why some people may not wish to accept law of thought as destiny, as they do not understand what it is. They do not understand the system of the universe. They do not know, they know nothing of the nature of the gods. In creating, maintaining and changing the physical world, they know nothing of the parts which the gods play. They know little about the nature of the doer and its connection with the God. The failure of people to grasp these points is due to the absence of a standard measure by which we can estimate the nature and relations of all matter and beings in the invisible world and their planes and on the visible physical planes. We cannot measure any of these. That means there is a weakness in the entire model itself. And due to that weakness, right, what happens? Owing to the weakness, man accepts force as the measure, and that becomes his moral code. It is practically might is right, where man sees in his God a magnificent man, a magnificent being. Thus, he is prevented from seeing a system of thinking without which he cannot have a key to the mysteries of the visible plane. So he lives in an abstract world thereby. He is not able to accept what he is able to see because of that weakness. You cannot measure that kind of a scenario effectively. What is the root cause? We don't understand any of those points that were raised. Right? So we don't understand the concept of the way the universe works. So we don't subscribe to that thought which is creating that karma, which is creating that pressure on us, that it has to get balanced. And everything in the universe is bound by that law is something we are forgetting totally in this process. And that weakness is now giving rise to the scenario of what we are all suffering. Suffering or accepting or debating, whatever is the word. Right, Jagdish sir, anything to add here?
No, perfect. That's exactly what.
Yeah. So then, right, then because of the power of God, that oh my God explains this concept beautifully. And the interpretation and that the other one is the Ram Janmabhoomi case. It is the same document. So the law, as we see it implemented, wanted a documentary proof that Ram existed. And the blind old man was able to give them the particular verse where it is documented. That is another example, right? God existed, he has written it in that document. So, I mean, basically what this is proving is there is some gap between reality and the way reality is interpreted. Would you agree, sir, or is there any difference in opinion? Agree, sir.
Yeah, correct. What you say is right.
Ramakrishna, sir?
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
So, then that is where we start believing in might is right, where man sees in his God a magnificent man. Thus, he is prevented from seeing a system of thinking without which he cannot have a key to the mysteries of the visible plane. Which, in other words, further, however, we may observe that no religion can dispense with the law of thought as destiny. That is, yet theological doctrines, the meaning of theological doctrines, the study of nature of God and religious belief are often incompatible with it. With what? With this thought. They make it appear in strange disguises stories and teachings that conceal the law. This karma built into it is what he is trying to explain. These are forms used by triune selves to teach their doers as much of the law of thought as the doers can acquire. So all this happening is because of that. Right? So that the faith which holds to ways of providence, the wrath of God, and the original sin, to mention but these few, even as skepticism, which speaks of mere chance and accident, is a station through which the doer passes while it is being educated by the light of the intelligence. Thus, the law of thought as destiny works in silence and is unseen. The course is not perceptible by the senses. That is why it is unseen. Even its results on the physical plane attract no attention unless they are unusual or unexpected. People sometimes call these accidents and are attributed to chance, miracles, or the will of God, and religions often seek an explanation. It needs to be understood that religion is the relationship between doers and the gods they have fashioned out of nature.
Fabricated.
Sir?
Correct.
Sir, you said something.
No. I was just correct.
So, what is religion? Is the relationship between the doer and the gods that they have fashioned to help them implement the law of thought. No, not law of thought, but the moral values which have been inbuilt into them. And actually, those moral laws conceal the law of thought within them. Is that a right interpretation, sir?
Correct. And without our being conscious of it.
And
Without
create my belief.
Without our being conscious of it.
correct, without being conscious of it.
We think it is God, we think it is, but actually that's what happens.
But then that other sentence beautifully explains that, sir. This is the rope given by the triune self to educate its doers,
Correct.
to gain that understanding. So, which means it is part of wisdom. That is how it is integrated. You will start with that, you will experience, then you will realize what it is, and you will proceed with the moral. Are you able to follow, all of you?
Yes,
Yes,
it's
sir.
beautiful. Very, very beautiful. Yes.
We
Yes,
can
sir.
have a 2-minute discussion on this. Is it clear how this law of how religion, through its doctrines and otherwise, through its enunciations, through its prescriptions, etc., is actually concealing these elements? And once we experience it, which means the torchlight, the spotlight is falling on that, and we have our learning till such time, which again goes to the belief system versus the experience. I mean, the faith versus experience. Would you not agree to that, sir? That's how I am able to link the two.
No, yeah, what you say is right. But again, we should not get caught. Every time we seem to get caught into language problem.
Correct.
But what you say is right. See, what it basically means is religion does therefore has a role to
Iota
play.
of this law, but concealed.
Yes, it has a role to play because it tells us unconsciously what has to be done. Unfortunately, we get hooked on to the laws as given by, as enunciated by those who are administering this religion.
Exactly, which is might is right.
That's
Yeah,
right.
that is where might is right is changing the dimension.
Right.
Allahism versus Mullahism.
Also, it's also in our, not only that religion, every religion has this problem. I don't know if you read I just mentioned that you should read this, what is called as the history of the church. Okay. Fortunately, in Christianity, right from Constantine, everything is recorded. Unlike in our case, not record this, right?
It is not recorded. It was a hand to mouth, and that is adding to our
confusion.
confusion.
But there, the history of the church, everything is recorded, though they're compiled in what is called the history of the church, which theologians can read. There, it is so shocking. Like you say, the true religion is there, but a person, see, but Jesus says love. Okay, love thy neighbor. And the 10 commandments are not commandments, actually they're commitments that you make to yourself, moral commitments.
Exactly.
But then the very first Pope, Constantine, you must have heard of Constantine, he was the first Pope. Okay,
Yeah.
Vatican was not there, they were part of Rome. He went about committing a genocide of another complete sect of their Catholic, of Christians, just because he thought they had the Holy Grail. You know, the Holy Grail is that the wine, this thing which Christ last drank wine in.
Correct.
They had the Holy Grail. It's a mythical thing. He believed they had, and they had no right. Only the Pope had the right, and so he completely committed genocide. And these are people talk about love. And if you read the history of the church, the Spanish Inquisition, okay, the 100-Year War, and you name it, the burning of Joan of Arc, all these things, what happened? All in the name of religion.
Correct. There's so many things, sir, that is continuing to happen even today.
It happens. No, that's true. I didn't want to go further today. See, but if you read the history of the church, it'll be shocking. It's all recorded. What all happened?
It's very true, sir. I mean, see, Ben-Hur is another reflection of that scenario.
Yes.
Two friends becoming enemies because of that different paths of belief or religion or whatever they were practicing.
It happened to Adam's children, Abel and Cain.
Correct. Yeah. Abel and Cain, yes.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So now, right? So now, law of thought as destiny works in silence and is unseen. Its course is not perceptible by the senses. Even its results on the physical plane, though there is a little bit of, is this what we completed?
No, that's correct. You're going on it.
No, I'm going correct. Right.
Yeah.
It attracts no attention unless they are unusual or unexpected. Which one? The path that is taken by this law of thought as destiny, when it is getting implemented, right? It is silent, unseen, and it is not understood that religion is the relationship between the doer and the gods they have fashioned out of nature. The god or gods which men worship are nature gods. This fact is apparent from the symbols by which they demand to be adorned or adored. Adored. These nature gods, however, are subject to the complete triune selves. They are created by the embodied doers of the triune self. Triune selves furnish to the embodied portion of their doers, the means of accomplishing the worship due to and even the worship demanded by the nature gods. Sir, who is the embodied doer? The human being.
Yeah.
We are, right?
Correct.
Right? Otherwise, There is a body that is there for this one that has got corrupted. That is why it has become an embodied body. Right? The embodied doer is the portion that has come down. The 1/12 of the original.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Right. So this, thus the doer in a human body is allowed to consider a personal God as its creator and source of power, as well as the administrator of justice according to a moral code. Insofar as the God's acts of omissions that do not fall within the moral code attributed to God, the doer believes in the inscrutable, that is, impossible to understand or interpret ways of providence.
Providence. Everything is providence.
Yeah, everything becomes providence.
Yes.
Just because you cannot comprehend it is not in line with what you are looking for or what you understand of. Sometimes small parts of the law of thought are to be found in relations, but in religions, but then they are colored to fit in with the body of the theology. Theology is just the story side of it in terms of how we have described the God, his power and all that. Meaning, religious beliefs and theory, when systematically developed, theologies, in Christian theology, God comes to be conceived as Father and Son. So each religion has got its own way of conceiving this. However, when the doer matures significantly and is able to see that it is sense bound in a body which is personalized nature, and in order to distinguish between the God or God on the one hand and on the other the light it receives from the intelligence, then by that light will the doer understand the innate idea of justice, the real meaning of the wrath of God, and the doctrine of the original sin. Right? A look at
That's
how
where we are
we
getting
react
enlightened.
when things go wrong. Sir?
No,
Yeah.
this is where it is. That is what when we get enlightened. That
And
point
that
when we get-
means, sir, that is where he is not bringing our experience into picture. That is what is the light, right? Our
Right.
understanding based on the experience. Right? So now, when something goes wrong, how we react, that also he has explained beautifully. See, a look at how we react when things go wrong. Accidents and chance are words used by persons who do not think creatively, clearly, when they attempt to account for certain happenings. Anyone who thinks must be convinced that in a world as orderly as this, there is no room for words such as accidents and chance. Right? Every natural science depends upon the recurrence of certain facts in a certain order. That means when you bring in natural science, it has got to demonstrate repeatability. Right? A physical law means facts observed and the assurance of their recurrence in an orderly sequence. Such physical laws govern all physical actions, from sowing to harvesting, from boiling water to sailing a vessel, from playing a fiddle to electrical transmission of sound and images by radio. So all these things are subject to the natural sciences. And so, does a moral law exist? And if so, what is it? In terms of a certainty of the orderly sequence of facts and events in the moral order. There is such a law. What is that? Right? And it accounts for the so-called accidents. Everything existing on the physical plane is an exteriorization of a thought. That is the law,
That is the law, yes.
which must be adjusted through the one who issued the thought in accordance with his responsibility and at the conjunction of time, condition, and place.
Yes.
So that brings us to the end of what we wanted, what we had planned. So that is how this becomes a law. It follows, it has all the qualities of a natural law, right? In terms of repeatability, in terms of accountability, in terms of exteriorization, all those also have got certain conditions when met will happen. That is why this moral law actually becomes the law of thought. That's a nice way of concluding the whole thing. That's what I felt.
True.
So any comment, any input, any question? This completes one portion of the section, the chapter 3, section 3. Yesterday we completed 2. This is one portion. There are some more, about another 4 of the subsections that we'll have to go through. But this starts with how your religion, no, there are totally 6 sections. Last 2 are just a read through. There is no diagram required. But so this starts with how religion and God look at the law of thought, how we create a God, how we create a God, the nature God, but what in reality it is for the triune self helping us get into the realization of, or get to the understanding or to the bottom of these moral laws. And when does that happen? When we experience it, and that ignites the light in our experience or in our life, then we realize what it is and we rise above this kind of a belief. Till then, we are bound by these beliefs, and that is how we lead our life. Once we have been able to overcome that, then we start questioning, is there a law? Is this really a law? In terms of its repeatability, measurability, the conditions and all that, can you repeat it? Yes, it can be, it is so, and that happens to be in those 4 elements of the law getting exteriorized. That is the entire theme that we have walked through today. Have I missed anything?
No, it's perfect.
I think we have put everything together. Yeah.
See, what is interesting to observe here is the author never says religion is wrong.
No, he
Or
doesn't.
invention is God is wrong. Okay. But the way we act upon this
Administer.
believe that because the law is what is very wrong, right?
So that
in our-
administration part is where, which is slightly subjective in nature, that is the one that is causing all this.
So if I can just comment without prejudice, see our own Vedic, the Vedas, which is the 3 Vedas, 3, not the 4th one is Ayurveda is not 3. They have never speak about God.
No, they
There is
don't.
no God there. Only
There is
about
no God
2000 years
outside.
later-
There is a God, he is inside.
Correct. Only the Puranas, the Puranics. Who are the Puranics? Puranics are the wandering minstrels. That is the only way entertainment they had. And they have to add colors, right, to what they're saying. The Vedic thought they had to color, they dramatize, like the TV show. And in that process, they built up these Puranic stories, which created the beliefs, which we began adopting as the. That's the sad
100%.
part. If you can distinguish, we still enjoy Puranas. And the Bhagavatam is such a metaphoric Purana, it is wonderful. Most of these things what you study are there in Bhagavatam.
Yeah, 100%.
But in a very metaphoric.
But then we don't know that language. We are not able to interpret what it was, what were the circumstances under which all that was captured.
Exactly. You're right. True.
So that meaning of contextual is completely lost in that.
Because we don't question.
Exactly.
Only when we question. we
No,
get to
sir, I think the Vedic teaching system itself did not.
Sorry.
See, the Vedic system or the Gurukul system did not give scope for the student to question the Guru.
See, this is where it is misinterpreted. When you say the word Upanishad is where you sit, right? The meaning of Upanishad, you sit in front. And you always start with the Shanti Pata. Each Upanishad is a Shanti Pata.
Correct.
What does the Shanti Pata mean? Communicate with each other. Let's sit in peace and communicate with each other. But unfortunately, our system where it put the Guru in a higher pedestal. Created. Yeah, that
Actually, Buddha's wife, there is a wonderful reference to this. Yashodhara, when she does what Buddha is doing, sitting in the family life, she propagates what you call the circles. Right? And one thing she doesn't like is Buddha sitting on a pedestal with a circle of students sitting around him. He says he should be sitting along with them on the floor. Maybe he is in the center or he is part of the circle. Doesn't matter. But he should not be sitting. That is one thing that it comes out very well in that book.
Correct.
Especially when said by a wife to husband.
Correct.
Correct. No.
And Buddha himself accepts in his first visit, in that book at least, he accepts that as much as he has got enlightened, she has, sitting in the family.
So the point that I wanted to bring about is that Upanishads are a lot of questions asked by the Sishyas.
Yes.
Correct.
Not that you cannot question a guru. I don't think there is any such rule at all.
Correct.
Because a lot of things here by question answer series in at least Mandukya Upanishad and several other Upanishads, Jagdishwar will be able to name them.
Correct. You are right. Actually, in fact, even this Upanishad, see, we know it as, see, it's Shankaracharya who identified 20 Upanishads because there are more of them. Okay, he identified, classified them. We talked about this, and we know only 10 of them now. But the point is, like you rightly said, there's so many, that's why it keeps changing. It's not the end, though it's called Vedanta. After some time only it stopped. It went on getting modified based on the question and answers. The answer, it never, that's why the Veda itself, that's why ultimately they said when Shankaracharya could identify, there are about hundreds of them. Identified, put 10 of them, classify them, they called it Vedanta. It's not really because that's the Anta Veda. It's not true. For
The same thing, in this book, he refers to in Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. He says the original are lost.
Right.
And the way it has been presented today is because of probably the rulers, or they didn't want people to know. Another theory that is now getting thrown up in Gaia, in the various publications in this Gaia.com, right? They are saying Atlantis was a civilization which was buried overnight.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And that was the time when the 12-strand DNA of a human being was changed from 12-strand to 2-strand. Because 12-strand was very powerful. It gave you so many powers. They had to restrict it for fear of it getting misused or whatever it is.
No, why
Say
even
that
Darka
again.
was
Friend,
Sir?
say that again. You said something about change.
No, our DNA is supposed to be 12 strands.
Okay.
That is not a theory, Kanchan.
the
That
Atlantis
is not a
discovered.
theory. That 12-strand DNA is not a theory. It is there even in scientific books.
The single strand DNA.
No, it is 12 strands.
And right now, how many?
2.
So XX and XY.
Yeah. It was originally, somewhere in the medical book also I read that a particular parameter was modified, so it became RNA is different completely, DNA is different. Okay. So this DNA from 12 strands, it was reduced to 2 by bringing in a modification.
So you mean to say that as the evolution of the human being has started, so
I'm not
12
saying that there was some reason why it was this modification was done.
So adaptability of the environment, it could be one of the reasons.
I will not speculate because I know nothing about, I don't understand much about that science. So I will not even attempt a guesswork there.
But you
What
said
are the
something about
information
Atlantis,
chahiye? Sir?
some Atlantis period when it
Atlantis.
changed.
The civilization of Atlantis.
That is under the sea, no? The Atlantis was
Yeah, it is
destroyed.
supposed to be under
Overnight.
the sea. Sir,
Where
they were
They have
able
discovered some
to,
evidence of
no,
Atlantis now.
sir, they had much more sophisticated machinery than what we have today.
no,
Sir,
but
are we talking about when Ram and Hanuman and all of them were prevalent? Like they
No,
used to
even
use
much
those,
before that.
much
It is
before.
much
before
before that.
So those strong
Or much later
beings,
than
you
that.
know.
Probably much later than that.
So
No,
even they were
Atlantis was destroyed.
Sir,
they,
Atlantis is
they could
before that.
fly. Sir, they
No.
were descendants from there only, I believe. I've also read that somewhere.
No, that is
They
there
were
in
here.
Gaia.com. There are a couple of them who are still around in the universe,
Yeah.
who are descendants of that era,
superhumans.
and
Yeah.
they are able to see the
Superhuman
entire
beings.
universe in a different manner.
Like they were like Superman,
Stephano
you
is
know.
one
Like,
of them. Not aliens. ये सब हम लोग जो समझ में नहीं आता है वो लेके आते हैं.
The alien.
these are superhuman beings like Superman and all. They could fly and they could do everything.
For example,
so they had
there
those
is one
powers.
guy in Gaia.com who talks. I think Stephano somebody. Okay, he says there are about 50 to 100 people like me who are still there from other planets. Yeah, we'll stop the recording.